What happens when two men can sit down and say, hey, check this out, fam. I don't like the trade rules. I don't like what's going on. How can you get what you want and I get what I want? And neither one of our economies have to suffer.
What the hell is going on? There's blood on the streets, tariffs have sparked a global trade war, and it is now likely that we enter into a recession, which the White House says is deliberate. Why? Well, basically, the idea is short-term pain for long-term gain. Now, some are gonna say this is madness and moronic. Others will say it's sensible and shrewd. So what happens next? Well, let me first explain the Trump administration's thinking. The goal is to get US manufacturing growth up. They think that by making imports expensive, you can reshore manufacturing and get US producers to step in. But the problem is we can't just scale factories overnight, and global partners are gonna retaliate and growth is gonna slow. Hence higher prices and layoffs and economic pain. Now, Trump knows this, but he's willing to deliberately cool the economy because we have $9.2 trillion in debt maturing in 2025. And when you spook the markets, investors move money into safer places like US Treasury bonds, which helps the United States refinance that massive debt bill at lower interest rates. So the big bet is that tariffs rebuild US industry, help manage the debt, result in better terms on trade deals across the board, and that it'll all work before the 2026 midterm. Now, this is a massive gamble by Trump. It's high stakes pressure politics. What if the market doesn't react the way that they expect, or if the domestic supply chain can't meet demand? I mean, a lot of things can go wrong. The critics say tariffs are nothing but a tax on the American consumer. They'll destroy working families, isolate us, weaken our economy, and spark trade wars we can't win. It's a huge risk. If it works, it's a defining legacy for Trump and an economic golden era for America. If it doesn't, we're looking at higher inflation, a decimated middle class, and very likely a Democratic sweep in 26 and 28. Time will tell, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Will this strengthen or weaken the United States long term?
Let's take the emotion out of it a little bit. How do you think this impacts America, Jose? Do we think that this will benefit America? Because there's two sides to the fence. One is he's saying he wants to renegotiate trade deals. He feels like America is being robbed. Now, here's what I will say to that. America ain't never got robbed. I ain't never once looked in their history books that they wrote and said they got robbed. You gotta think about something. A lot of these trade deals been in since the World War. A lot of them. They've been in since America was the manufacturing superpower. A lot of them. A lot of them, when people were dependent on America to do a lot of things, so they kind of had these old deals in. Now, what I will say is, could they not have been renegotiated since then? Of course they could have, but you gotta think about it. No one else spends as much money. No one else spends as much money as America. No one. So my thing is, does this hurt the American economy? Because here's the thing about tariffs with people, you know the kind of thing that get me about it, a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. The thing that gets me a little bit is when people say short-term pain for long-term gain. Here's what I say about that. Tell that to somebody who was supposed to retire this year. Tell that to somebody who's supposed to retire this year, who's just lost $10 trillion. That $10 trillion took them out of retirement for they probably gotta work an extra year or two now. Short-term pain, long-term gain. And so you'll say, Trap, it's casualties of war. Okay, I understand that too. But what about when the war is self-inflicted? I've never had to run a country before, so I would never even understand what that pressure looks like. I won't even act like I understand what that pressure looks like. And a lot of times we say we can do, you should do this, we can do this, but we not in that seat. So I won't attempt to say what's the best thing for this, because one, I never took political science in school. Never was a political science major. All right, here's what I do know. To run a country, you must learn how to be diplomatic. I know that for a fact. I might don't know a lot about. The next thing I do know is on some street shit, which all America is another set of gangsters. Every country is built off gangsters. China's is some gangsters too, because they be doing some gangster shit. Russia is some gangsters, because they be doing some gangster shit. We some gangsters. China, Russia, America, gangsters. That's willing to go all out. Because I don't know how Trump think, but in his mind, he just feel like, yo, America needs to be blah, 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 blah. I'm not in his camp, I don't know. And then you got somebody in China who feels like, hey, we ain't backing out. But the people feel it. Now the Chinese governor, got Xi Jinping, I can't ever say his name right. He said, it will hurt, but the sky ain't falling. Trump says to us, don't be panicking. Meaning, don't panic. And so, what happens when two men can sit down and say, hey, check this out, fam. I don't like the trade rules. I don't like what's going on. How can you get what you want and I get what I want? And neither one of our economies have to suffer. So my question to you is that not possible?
I believe, to go back to what you just said, diplomatic, I feel like I think it's more of like a thing swinging contest.
For sure. So
You
it's
know what I'm
ego.
saying? So
But here's the
that
thing about it. So my question is you to double down that because when Tariff first came out, everybody was like, bro, this ain't the way. Let's talk.
I'm about to say on some of the news, they were like, oh, this about to be the answer. For some
Everybody said that. They was like, hey, this ain't the way, let's talk. So that tells me that, and again, I don't know what's in bruh's mind. I won't even know. But that shows me that people were willing to negotiate. But I think everybody, so it's like this, bro. Like, let's say I was gonna do something. Let's say I probably was willing to talk to you. But once you slap me in my face, now I don't want to talk. You feel me?
So one of the things you just said, though, was, I don't know what's going on in bro's head. Do you believe in your heart of hearts, he's like, hey, this is best for the American people? Do you think he believed that? Like, if we were to get to the grass tacks, like, hey, I believe this is the best for the American people.
I think he do. I could be wrong, but check this out. You ever had an argument with somebody and you like, bro, you can't think like that. And you are almost like, is it possible for you to really take what I'm saying like that? And they like, yeah, you like, no, I'm not. I think bro really think like that. I think that he gonna save America. I'm gonna put the stock market on the side for a little bit. Because I know everybody wanna make money. You can't invest in stocks if you can't pay your rent. You can't invest in stocks if you ain't got no job. Because that's what happens in recessions. We thought that little bleep on the screen we got in 2022 and they reclassified it. Listen, people in this type of situation, because here's what happens right here, Jose. China, so I'm gonna use another hood situation. So draft, you won't hustle in my hood, right? I'm charging you to hustle in my hood, but I'm charging you. The connect still get paid what they was gonna get paid. The connect, China, if the thing costs $1,000, China still get their $1,000. It's the companies in America that gotta pay the tariff when they go to customs.
Remind me of the last episode of Kanan. He said, yo, we going up 20%.
Yeah. And the connect still get what the connect gonna get.
Right.
So that's what people not seeing that. So what happens is, why does it hurt China? Because it slows Apple from going to get what they gotta get. They can't get but Apple still gonna charge us. They not taking the hit. So here's what happens. Everything starts to go up. Now I want us to think from a business perspective. If everything goes up, profits come down.
People get laid off. Yep.
And the Federal Reserve said, we're not putting no more money in the economy because we injected that we injected the $8 trillion in 2022. This was unheard of. Right. This is how we even get high inflation to jump. So here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we not gonna make some money, but what I will tell you is this: you can't make no money if you can't pay no rent. You can't make no money if you got kids. You saying, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Hey, we might can eat noodles, but them children gotta eat.
Mm-hmm. People putting their last out, and that last out go to rent.
The gas people ain't giving you a break.
Right.
The light people ain't giving you a break. Insurance ain't giving you a break. We go in a recession, the people still want their bill money. Because now they need the money better than you. And you talking about, I'm gonna get it out the market. They saying, market my rent.
I'm gonna get it out your pocket. Dang.
I don't care if you gotta sell
Repo
calls,
man
puts,
coming.
pool tables, whatever. Market my rent. Now, here's why I double down on that. The stat says that the average American don't got $2,000. If that stat is true, of any sorts, the short-term pain is egregious.
Actually, it's funny. I just watched the interview. John Hope Bryant, real quick. He was talking about how he don't fly like private, but he said, I get the little extra Delta thing.
Okay.
Or whatever, where they, they escort him through. One day they ain't have it. He had to go with the regular general population. And he was like, he was looking around like, yo, I'm not used to this, right? And he said, yo, because he been doing it for only 6 months, really, but he was like, yo, I ain't want to go back. Do you believe that they are disconnected from the American people? Like, he been rich for his whole life.
Oh, you
gotta,
that's 100%, bro.
Like,
that's not a given.
You're
That's
not really
given.
feeling
That's a given.
what the people
That's
feeling.
a given. That's a given. When the last time you think Donald Trump been up? Not even our hood. When you think the last time he been to like rural America?
Right.
I ain't talking about in the hood. You know they don't come to the hood.
Only on the campaign trail.
Yeah, when the last time he been to a community where the houses cost less than $1 million?
Right. Right.
Even the politicians. Here's why a lot of the other stats that we talked about previously in the show was important. American household consumer debt is at an all-time high. So watch this. You put that in the recession bubble, what happens? Another stat we said, the average person, this was maybe 2 months ago or something, the average person was at least what? 30 days behind on at least one bill. Mm-hmm. You put us in when you start saying stuff like short-term pain for long-term gain, bro, you are the pain. Not saying Trump, I'm just saying the people that's saying it, like, we are the pain.
Right.
We are the pain.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's real.
How do you tell a person who is 6 days behind on their light bill, on their rent, don't have $2,000 in the bank, but still working a 40-hour job? So me and Steve came up with this. We was looking at this. I found this chart. Great job, Steve. I sent this as the show came on. That's why my dog's so good. Because this how much research matters to me. And this how much I feel like it's obligated for us to speak truth to our people. And well, I don't even want to say speak truth. Facts.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
Yep.
Truth and facts are two different things. Do you agree with that? Truth and facts are two different things. I think it's important for us to give the facts.
Yeah, because truth could be based off perspective.
Exactly. So the facts are that here are the countries, as of 2025, here are the countries, nations that are siding with the U.S. Right? Go big screen for it. Go big screen with it. And then here are the ones that are siding with China, right? Siding with China. And then you have a few that are leaning with both, which means they playing both sides of the field, meaning they may get certain protection from America, but get goods and imports from China, right? So now, as you can see, bro, like, they are the two most dominant. They're dominant, bro. So here's my thing to that, Jose. My thing to that is this, Jose. who's to say, this is just putting it out there, who's to say this is short-term pain?